Hey trainers, welcome back to the lab and episode 2 of the Pokemon TCG 101. Last time we looked at what roles Pokemon fill in a deck, so this time we're going to be looking at the trainers and the energy cards. But first, if you want to help the channel grow and support it, please hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave me a random comment down below. Tell me what decks you want to see on this channel, and I'll try to make it happen. Every subscriber, every like does help out the channel a lot. At 100 subscribers, we are giving away one Astral Radiance Elite Trainer Box, so be around for that. Now let's get right into the video. There are 4 types of trainer cards. You have your supporter cards, your item cards, your tool cards, and your stadium cards. Supporter cards are usually based after a character from the anime, and you can only use one once per turn. Tool cards are cards that you attach to your Pokemon to give them a buff. Item cards are single-use items that you use then discard. You can use as many as you like. And stadium cards are active cards that you put into play that change some part of the game. So a question I receive a lot is, how do you know what trainer cards to put in your deck? That's a great question. So I'm going to give you guys some kind of staple supporter and trainer cards so you can start building your deck around them. There's a few cards that you will see in every deck pretty much. And then a lot of the trainer cards though are very niche and they're very specialized is what I'm trying to say. We'll go over the more general ones so you can start building your deck and then you can decide what else would make your deck work better. So this is probably one of the first supporter trainer cards that comes to mind when I'm thinking of staple supporter trainers. That's Boss's Orders. It's just too good not to have. Choose your targets with this. It's very strong. Different versions of this have always been around in Pokemon, I feel like, and it's just a very strong card for every deck to take advantage of. Even if you're not trying to take prize cards with your deck with like a Durant, you can still dust up a Mon they don't want out. Like say if you're up against View VMAX, again with that, say you're up against Mew VMAX, you can gust up their Genesect, and that's really annoying for the Mew because they have to put in resources to get the Genesect out there and have their Mew back out. If you have 4 of these, you can do that 4 different times. That's wasting so much energy. Boss's Orders, great staple card. Another card I consider a great staple is Professor's Research. I choose Professor Oak because he's the GOAT, you know what I mean? It's a solid discard your hand, draw 7. Usually you try to use this with 1 or 2 cards in your hand, or even better, 0 cards in your hand to draw a full 7 without discarding anything. It's just a solid card to have. Sometimes you need to get through your deck because you're drawing a bunch of stuff, you have a dead hand. Good card to go ahead and bust out real quick. So Marnie's another card I would consider a staple card, although she doesn't fit in all decks, but it's very cool to have her because if you kind of have a slow to dead hand and you would rather shuffle it back into your deck and you don't want to lose the cards to draw 5, or say in my opinion, the real use for it is when your opponent sets up and they like use like a quick ball or a level ball, but they don't play them on, they just have it in their hand. Maybe they're gonna evolve next turn and you're like, nah. You just play down the Marnie and that setup is gone now. So Marnie's one to keep your eye on and to always remember. Raihan is deceptively good. Yes, you do get to grab an energy from the discard and attach it to a Pokemon, but you get to choose any card from your deck to put in your hand, and that is insane. That is so good. It does have the caveat where you have to wait for one of your Pokemon to get knocked out before you can use it, but being able to grab any card you want, it's very good. Another thing to consider. Now this card I would only consider a staple card for water decks because you recycle energy with it, you draw 3 cards with it. It's very good. It's great. Very solid for water decks. If you're running a water deck, I recommend running 4 Melanies usually. Very good. And then I also believe Cynthia's Ambition is a good staple one. Draw until you have at least 5 cards in your hand. If a Pokemon was knocked out, draw until you have 8. That's just free draw. That's very good. It's kind of like a Bibarel or something. But yeah, I like Cynthia's as well. Sonia is also great for setting up early. You can grab 2 basics from your deck, put them in your hand, or 2 basic energies, put them in your hand. She's solid all around. Consider her. Okay, so for items, the Quick Ball is the first one I want to talk about. Discard 1, any basic in your deck into your hand. I don't need to say much else about this. It's very good. It's very cost effective. Lets you get out your main attacker, usually, if you're looking for your Urshifu. If you're looking for like your Urshifu V, your Mew V, if you're looking for a supporter Pokemon, if you need like a Professor's Research, you only have 2 cards in your hand, Quick Ball out of Luminion, grab the Professor's Research with the Quick Ball. What else do I say about this? This is very cost effective, very strong. The Level Ball is also very good. It is not limited to basic Pokemon. So a good combo would be to basic out your your basic Pokemon and then level ball the stage 1 Pokemon to evolve it next turn. I do that a lot with a few of my decks actually. And it's also very, very cost effective because it doesn't cost anything to use. It just costs 1 card spot in your deck. That's it. And you can search up to any Pokemon with 90 HP or less. Need I say more? Great to get cards into your hand. Great Ball is a card that I'll put into my deck if I'm not really sure what else I want to throw in there. I'm like, yeah, I guess I could search through the top 7 of my card and pull out a Pokemon that I find there. Like, it's solid. It's not great, it's not bad, it's just good. Always consider it. Now, Ultra Ball is a staple, and I will die on this hill. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search for any Pokemon in your deck, reveal it, put it in your hand. Any. It's a quick ball, but instead of just basics, it's any. So you can get out your Mew VMAX, you can get out your Urshifu VMAX, you can get out your other evolution types. I really like Ultra Ball. And then for Psychic decks, you can also use Fog Crystal, which is it's a souped up quick ball, because you don't have to discard a card. You can put a basic Psychic type into your hand from your deck, or an energy. So that is solid. If you're running a Psychic deck and you need Psychic energy and you're running Psychic deck, take the Fog Crystal, use it, please. Very good. A Scoop Up Net is another card that I would consider a staple, especially if you're running the Inteleon lines, because you can go ahead and scoop up and reuse the Drizzles and Inteleons. It's very good. You can pull out your Pokemon that aren't V or GX Pokemon to keep them safe. It's solid. Very good card to have. Now for water decks, Capacious Bucket. Again, my thing for water decks right now, I don't know what it is, but search up to 2 energy cards, reveal them, put them in your hand. It's energy search. Great. Run a water deck, you take Capacious Bucket. It's like you run a Psychic deck, you take Fog Crystal. You run a water deck, you take Capacious Bucket. And I have another one of those for lightning decks too, so don't you guys worry. Now the rare candy is very important for evolution-based decks, okay? So, for example, my Leon Charizard deck, we run, what, 2 Charmeleon in there, 4 Charmander, 4 Charizard, because you put the Charmander down, you put the rare candy down, and the Charizard goes on top, and you don't even you don't do the second line. Very strong, very good, really smooths out the evolution decks. So if you're trying to run an evolution deck and it feels too slow because you can't get your evolution mons out in time, maybe throw in a couple rare candies and see if that fixes the problem for you. Evo Incense kind of goes hand in hand with rare candy. You look for an evolution Pokemon from your deck, put it in your hand. Great with rare candy, great with 1 evolution mons like the V-Stars, the V-Maxes. Great card. Just use it. Yeah, that's it. Choice Belt is a little bit more deck dependent on how much damage your deck can do. If you are missing knockout by 10 to 30 damage, you put it in the deck basically. Like if you're doing 300 damage, you put it in the deck. You're doing 290, maybe put it in the deck if you have ways to get more damage so you can hit that 330 mark. But 290, you could put Zigzagoon in your deck at that point and then hit for knockout with the Choice Belt. So I would do that. Great card. Definitely consider it. Think about it. Switch is a great card. Switch out your Pokemon. Someone bosses out something you don't want out because they're trying to stall you. You just use Switch. You don't have to discard or waste an energy. Very good to have. Air Balloon, similar to Switch, but it reduces 1 Pokemon's retreat cost. So I like to run these in decks where maybe I'm putting out Luminion or Bibarel or an Oranguru, and I don't want them to get bosses ordered out so they can try to slow me down. I'll put an Air Balloon on them, number 1, as a deterrent to stop them from doing that play in the first place, or I'll hold it in my hand so they waste the card and then I'll Air Balloon and pull them back. Similar to a Switch, but longer lasting. But do keep in mind that Tool Scrapper exists, and if you have an Air Balloon down on one of your mons and they Tool Scrap it and then pull it out, you can't pull it back at all without paying the energy cost. So keep that in mind. But Tool Scrapper's also good if you're trying to take off an enemy's cape or their Choice Belt band. Is it band right now? It used to be belt, right? No, it's belt now. It used to be band. Shoot. Choice band, belt. Great card to get rid of equipped items to the enemy Pokemon. And I really like Ordinary Rod as well because it lets you recycle your Pokemon and your energy cards back into your deck. I personally really like Ordinary Rod. It's I like to put a couple in my deck just in case. It's also a very forgiving card, so if you're newer to the game, you can put a couple of these in to maybe if you misplay a couple times, it doesn't matter as much because you can just recycle them. So we're going to talk about stadiums now. Now stadiums go into play and they create a constant effect that is only removable by putting another stadium or a card that destroys the stadium into play. Some of my favorite stadiums, and I'm sure you've seen them if you've played any standard, is one would be Path to the Peak, of course. You usually play this in a deck when your V and GX Pokemon don't have any abilities because you are trying to shut down your opponent who might have a Crobat who might have a Luminion. That's what Path to the Peak is used for, and it's solid. It's great. That's why a lot of people use it. Now, Glimwood Tangle is pretty decent, in my opinion, for decks that require a lot of coin flips. Now, a lot of people don't like running coin flip decks because they're not as consistent as other things. And yes, that is true. But if you are going to run a deck of coin flips, like my Flying Pikachu VMAX deck, Glimwood Tangle would do you well. Lets you flip a coin twice. It's great. And plus, if you're running Glimwood Tangle, remember this, if you're running a stadium set in your deck, usually you're running a 4 of, sometimes it's a 2 of, sometimes it's a 1 of. That's fine. But if you're running a stadium, you can get rid of your opponent's stadiums they put down. That's a big draw to running a stadium. A Tower of Waters for Rapid Strike decks lets the retreat of all Rapid Strike Pokemon in play be reduced by 2, which is how much most of them cost to retreat anyway. It really, of course, synergizes with the Rapid Strike Pokemon, such as Urshifu, who when he leaves and comes back into the active spot, he does an extra 120 damage. So that's where that works. Great. A Galar Mine is good if you want to lock your opponent in place, basically. If you are okay with not retreating anymore, pretty much. If you're like, okay, I don't need to retreat, and you don't want your opponent to retreat either to try to deal with whatever shenanigans you might be boiling up, this is good. I use this to great effect in my Durant video, where I destroyed that Mew VMAX with it. Yeah, that was awesome. Magma Basin is a good stadium if you're running a fire deck. It lets you burn. It lets you burn through your deck, basically. Lets you discard your energies to fuel your quick balls and your ultra balls. And all you gotta do is put 2 damage counters on your Pokemon to attach a fire energy from your discard pile onto it. So that really frees up your deck to some plays right there. Lets you discard things that might not be discardable otherwise. Stormy Mountains for you electric deck and dragon deck people. Lets you grab a basic electric or dragon type and put it on your bench. That's all it does. You can also use it. A fun thing about these decks that let you like grab things from your deck, you don't need to grab anything. Your opponent could play a Stormy Mountain and you could get Marnied and you could be like, oh, I really wanted those cards on there. So you use Stormy Mountain. That's just a deck shuffle for you at that point, and it gives you a chance to get the cards you just lost. So if you want to just shuffle your deck, you could feel free to use your opponent's Stormy Mountain or other similar type cards to that. Always try to find ways to use your opponent's stadium against them is what I'm trying to say. Training Court's great. You can put a basic energy from your discard into your hand. Energy Recycle. We love Energy Recycle on this channel. Rose Tower lets you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Not bad, but your opponent can easily make use of this. This is a little bit less niche and more general, so you got to keep that in mind when playing it. Most people I've seen that play Rose Tower play 2 Rose Tower and 2 of something else. And what they'll do is they'll use the Rose Tower, and then if they think their opponent is going to get rid of a bunch of cards to use Rose Tower, they'll try to replace it. And Old Cemetery is great too, especially if you're running a Psychic deck. It basically just softens up your opponents. If they attach any energy from their hand and the Pokemon's non-Psychic, they're going to take 2 damage counters, which is great. Okay, so energies are pretty easy to know what to take in your deck. Okay, so you're using this Pikachu deck, my Flying Pikachu VMAX deck. Now, why did I decide 10 energies, 4 speed energies? Well, number 1, speed energies, I'm playing an electric deck. Speed energies is 1 energy that lets me draw 2. That's a no-brainer. Put as many of these as I can in. 4 is the maximum, so I put 4 in. And then I was playing the deck, and I'm pretty sure I had more electric energies when I first started playing this deck, or less. I couldn't remember. But then I realized, so if I have 14 energies here, how much does it take for this to attack? It takes 3 energies for it, and I have 3 of them. If I want to get all 3 set up, I'm going to need 9 energies. That leaves 6 left over, but I'm going to need 1 energy here. So that's 5 energies left over. Then it needs 2 retreat. So that's 4 energies left over. And then maybe I want to discard some things. Maybe I want to do this. Maybe I want to do that. So I settled on 10 energies, especially considering it has a pretty high chance of 1 or 2 of them being prized. So you basically just got to fiddle with the deck at this point. You see what your cards need, at least 9 if I want to power up all 3. 6 is probably what I'm going to be powering up though. I have 14 energies to make that happen. And then you got to keep that in mind while you're playing too. So at this stage, I would start with, depending on your attacker, like 10 to 12 energies, maybe. it's really personal preference. The energy, would you rather take extra energy? Would you rather have, you want to fit as many trainers as you can into your deck. That's the goal. But you need to have enough energies so your deck plays consistently. Because it'd be great if you could get your Pokemon out and get all these trainers and get 1 energy per turn. But you need to make sure that that happens consistently. Because sometimes maybe you won't draw any energies at all. That's terrible. You never want that to happen to you. Ever. So this is the point where you start fiddling, play the deck a lot, and you decide, you think to yourself after each game, you're like, all right, how did that go? What do I need to change? What am I not using in my deck? And that is how you tweak your deck around. And do keep in mind that if you're building a deck to be competitive, the opponents that you test with will determine how good your deck is. So try to find the best people you can to test your deck against. And you should be good. Yeah. So there it is. You have all the pieces you need to put your own decks together and to try it out. If you make any decks and you want me to try it on the channel, please feel free to leave that in the comments down below. I'll be happy to do that. Feel free to join my Discord. You can throw deck ideas around there as well. Follow me on Twitter to get updates. I stream most Tuesdays and Thursdays. Unless something's going on, then I do not. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. At 100 subs, we are doing a giveaway for an Elite Trainer box. Looking like it's going to be Astral Radiance. Anyways, thanks for coming to the lab today, trainers. The short one today. This is probably going to be the end of the Pokemon TCG 101, but that will give me time to maybe start up a new series for you all. So make sure to stick around and hit that subscribe button for that. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Bye.